Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm just here to bring you part 7 of Old Mother Goose series that we've been doing. So this is a kind of craft with me process video, and we're doing the whole journal kind of as a process kind of together. So yes, this is part 7, so grab your stash and craft along. So this is actually the same day that I did the last page, which was this one, but I'm just kind of keen to crack on, so I will probably upload them separately again rather than bombard you, but I just thought we'll get on with this. So I've had a quick look to see kind of where we're going to go next. I've only actually got this double page spread and the back couple of pages left to do, other than these kind of thin, you know, initial pages of the book, which I haven't decided yet kind of what to do with those. So we're going to do these. Now I've just had a horrible thought, really. I had kind of outlaid things that I was going to use, part of the Old Mother Goose bits and pieces that I had kind of tentatively kind of made for the journal. I had laid them out roughly where I was going to use them in the journal, and obviously in my haste kind of trying to actually get through the journal and complete it, I have obviously used them all up now. So unbeknown obviously to me, unfortunately, I have got this one obviously left, which I would very much like to have on this you know, back page really. So that means obviously this double page spread, we're not going to have the Old Mother Goose you know, part of the rhyme, which is a bit disappointing really. So, but completely my fault. I'd obviously kind of, you know, in my haste to kind of try and speed the process up, I obviously had used the other piece that was set for this page. So you know, we'll just plow on anyway, and we'll obviously just try and tie this in kind of in the colours and using the papers that we've been using and things like that. So it's fine, it's not the end of the world. So I've got a couple of fold out bits that we could use here. So I have got obviously this small kind of flip piece here, which is rather nice. Or we have got this little booklet, which again, you know, really cute. So I'm just going to round the corners of this one, you know, for if we decide to use this. I've already rounded the corners of this particular one. So I'm just going to kind of play around laying these pieces down on the page and kind of see how they may look. Now this one's rather a large flip booklet, which, you know, we may decide not to use, but I'm just kind of, you know, placing things around. I've got this little journaling card. I can't remember what brand this was. I had them for a long time in my stash. Really loved them. Kind of hoarding them really. Couldn't bring myself to use them, but maybe it's time. So maybe I will go ahead and use this maybe on this page. So I mean, we could have that. I did have a smaller little fold out in that same paper, which we could maybe use instead of this great big one. So let me just have a look and see whether I can find it. Obviously kind of all my stuff that I have been bringing down is gradually getting more and more disorganised, because I actually kind of left it all obviously down here while I just nipped and had something to eat and things before coming back up. Right, I don't like how that looks because we've got kind of these two similar folding pages, which to me just, that doesn't look quite right. Now we've obviously got that piece that we cut earlier, which is a shaped piece, so we could use that. That's quite nice. Maybe the spotty side up, because I think we have been really using the spotty side rather than the side. I love the florals. I'm not so keen on the paisley, so we could use that. That's quite nice. So, and what I'm thinking, we've used this Federation of Master Builders book before, so I thought we could just tear out another page from here. Again, doesn't matter which page that we're going to use. Oh, that page is not coming out very well. I should have done that better. But again, I mean, it doesn't really matter because obviously we'll probably tear it down anyway. So I'm going to cut it along the top to make it a bit sort of closer to the text. And I'm just going to tear it down this side, just to kind of make it slightly smaller for the page. Like that. Okay. So we could have something like this, which I quite like. I have got a piece of a doily, which we could have somewhere. Maybe kind of up here or something. Or even maybe down there. Looks quite pretty, doesn't it? And I mean, obviously so far the page is looking a little bit colourless, but literally as soon as we kind of add some of the flowers, it brings it back. The only thing is we obviously are lacking any of the yellow that we've been using. So, I mean, what we could do actually is kind of not have this. I can go back to hoarding it. And we could have the kind of flip down instead. Let's have a look. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink up the pages first, so that we're kind of ready to go. Again, I'm just going to really focus around the edges because obviously the bulk of the pages are going to be covered, you know, no matter what we decide to do. I'm pretty sure that they will be covered. Oops. I'll just cover them with the ink. Like that. Okay. So then we were to have that there, and what we could do is obviously add in something from the Kaiser Craft and ephemera pack that we've been using, and that will kind of tie this in then nicely with the rest of the journal. So I quite like that, and then we could have kind of a sprig of flowers maybe kind of at the top, you know, somewhere up there. So I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to stick this. Ooh. Right, I'm using the same gloopy glue that I have been using for the last couple of videos. I hope it's going to cooperate today and come out. I mean, it's looking good so far, but to be honest, I've had this a couple of times since it's decided to clog up, where you think, oh brilliant, it's decided to work, and then obviously it kind of clogs up again. So, you know, we don't know yet whether it's going to be okay or not. So just fingers crossed, really. Okay. So we've got that page now stuck down. And then what I'm going to do is just ink around this one. Now, to decide now kind of how to seal this. So, I mean, obviously on past pages we've used obviously string, and we've used a paper clip, which I did actually remember to bring down the old paper clip that I've kind of you know, created to go with this journal. So I'm just going to distress ink that up ready, and then what we'll do is we'll just stick a tiny flower on there, just to kind of bring it right into the rest of the journal. So I'll distress ink this up like that, well, like that. And we will just pop that on there, because that way it kind of really, it then, you know, coordinates perfectly with the rest of the journal. So I'll just stick that like that. So I'll leave that now to just dry to one side, while we decide obviously how to kind of have a closure for this little fold out booklet. So, and we were going to put the doily down, weren't we? So, or we wondered about it. Okay. So, and if you haven't stumbled across this little series before, we've been creating this journal together. So all of it's kind of on, you know, video on YouTube, the whole thing from start to finish. So it's kind of a shared project, which has been really good fun. But we're kind of coming to the tail end now, so I'm sure many people will be relieved to hear. I mean, that's quite sweet, isn't it? Okay. So I've just obviously distress inked those macaroons, which were also from the Kaiser Craft pack. I mean, they are very cute, aren't they? The only thing is, when I then open it, I've just got half of this, which I'm not sure that I like that much. But I do like the macaroons. I think they're really sweet there. So I'm going to kind of just partially glue them so that they kind of hold that shut. So we just pop some glue on like that. Now I hope to goodness that doing this on camera I am not sticking this down, because obviously sometimes, you know, it happens when you're doing this that you do actually end up sticking the flap down. I do not want to obviously do that, so let's hope that I've not put the glue too far up and that happens. We'll see. Okay, so that's looking cute. So I'm going to glue the doily down. And again, I've said this before, so I'm just repeating myself for those who've followed along or seen any of my other videos. I'm just going to glue the doily all over. I know a lot of people glue them partially, but I do find that, you know, I'm a little bit clumsy and then end up kind of damaging the doily. So I just will stick it down properly. Okay. So I've got that booklet now, which I could put there like that. So before I actually stick this bit down, I'm going to play around with what I'm going to do on the facing page, just because sometimes that can affect what you want to do, you know, on the other page. So we did say about this one, didn't we? Which I quite like that. Obviously I have got a fold in that because this was actually the piece that I cut down in the last video to, you know, form the kind of booklet with the acetate piece. So, you know, it doesn't matter because once it's glued down, obviously that would be, you know, hidden anyway. But I'm just wondering whether it might be nice to kind of finish this with some lace trim or something. Let me just have a look. Again, I'll use that lovely crochet lace, which I think I said before, I mean, just every time I put that down, I just love it. So that looks good there. And then we talked about having the kind of fold down flip kind of here, didn't we? You know, somehow on there. So, I mean, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? Like that. And then we could pop some other kind of bits around really, so pop that there. I have got this piece, which again, this is kind of just the other half. I used half of it previously on another page. It's a bit lost there. I could have it here, kind of as almost like a hinge for the page, or we could have it kind of here at the top. That's quite nice. Let me have a look. What I might do is cut these flowers down so that I've got slightly smaller sprigs. Oh, I have got a smaller sprig here actually that I could work with, so we could have that kind of there. I'm just kind of seeing how the page is going to come together to look you know, colourful and quite pretty, so I'm just kind of matching it up. I'm just going to ink this tiny bit up here. Yes, these flowers were just from some scrapbook paper, and I just fussy cut them all out over a couple of evenings. I love fussy cutting. Although sometimes I get a bit bored if it's the same thing I'm repeatedly cutting. That can sometimes be a bit tedious, can't it? And obviously they were the same thing. So I probably mixed them with something else if I remember, to be honest. So we could have that up there, that one there. So I'm just going to ink this around the edges a little bit so as it just stands out a little bit more, like that. And then obviously the flowers could have kind of there over the side, quite like that. And then just something to do down the bottom. So I have got these little butterflies, which we've used one of these somewhere else on a different page. We could have one of those there, so I just cut around it like that. So we could have a little butterfly, oops, like that. I've also got this sweet treats, which I kind of played around with a couple of times. I quite like that. And I've brought along some Martha Stewart butterflies as well, so just ink those up, because we could have those somewhere, maybe even on here, like that. That's quite pretty, isn't it? And you know, we could put something on that little folding piece as well. Love you always, that's quite nice. Right, so what I'm going to do is stick a couple of things down, I think. So my first thing to stick down is this piece. Now I'm not going to actually use this as a pocket. Now I do often use just scrapbook paper as a pocket if it's thick and robust enough. This, unfortunately, when it got coffee dyed, it really, you know, it's now quite fragile. So I wouldn't really trust this as a pocket. But yeah, I mean, if I could trust it, I would have just used it as a pocket, but I wouldn't really, because I think it's a bit too fragile now. I've just cut it to make it straight. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much because it will be mainly covered up with the lace trim, but I just kind of improve it slightly, like that. Oops. Now everything's moved, so will I actually remember how it all was? Right, let's move this like that, like that. And we're just going to pop this down. So again, use the glue and I just stick it down. I'm just going to stick it everywhere. Like that. Like, I think it's probably a bit lower than I'd originally placed it, but that's fine. In fact, that's probably quite good because I've covered up some more of the text that was at the bottom, so that's all good. Right, so we'll just spread that out, make sure it's stuck down. Okay, and then we pop our lace trim down. What I rather like about this lace as well, it's got a kind of natural curve to it, which it really looks quite pretty like that. So we could have it like that. So I think I'm going to do that and stick the lace trim down first, because that's really rather nice, isn't it, to have the flowers and things stuck on top of it. So just going to do that with the hot glue, because obviously I'm trying to speed up and not be here all day. I'll just put another glue stick in because it's now running a bit low. Right. Okay. There we go. So that's that piece of crocheted lace. And then we'll just pop this piece on up here. I mean, we could have that as a tuck spot really, but it's probably not necessary. And also, because I haven't actually popped these bits all out, because this was a die cut shape, I'm probably better off actually gluing the whole thing down rather than have kind of bits falling out later on. That wouldn't really be very good. I'll just glue it down kind of thoroughly everywhere, like that. Just use a bit of tissue, just in case any glue's seeping out from it. Trying to be a bit of a tidier crafter, not so messy, for the sake of videos. So that's that one. And then I was going to have the flowers obviously just popped here. Now I might pop the flowers down with the hot glue in a moment. So first of all, I'm just going to kind of place this back to kind of check where roughly we want it to go. Or, you know, if indeed we even want it on there. I have also got this. There are hundreds of languages in the world, but a smile speaks them all. That's quite nice. It is really the wrong colour green. It may come up if I coffee dyed it, but I haven't coffee dyed it, unfortunately. I'll try inking it up and see, you know, whether that would kind of change its snuff. This again is a Kaisercraft die cut. It's from a different set. I think the set I'm using is, I think, Tea Time, or yeah, I think probably just Tea Time, or it might be Roses and Tea or something like that. I couldn't tell you, I'm afraid, what this one is, because I've had this one for a long time. Again, I mean, I tend to hoard things sometimes. You know, kind of if you buy a pack particularly and there's only one of something in there, I find it difficult to use things. So actually this is quite good, because I'm just using all of these from that Tea and Roses set, so, you know, before I get attached to them. So that's a good thing really. So we could have it like that. So I'm going to just ink this now. See whether we want to have this kind of on the other side. Gosh, I hope I'm in frame. Like that. Now this has got, you know, the tea bag tab is actually grey, and I think I have said before that some of that pack was grey, which didn't really want to use the grey items, but because this is only a tiny part of the embellishment, I don't mind so much. But I didn't want to use any of the ones that predominantly are grey, if you see what I mean. This one, it's just a little part of it, isn't it, that's grey, so I didn't mind that so much. Okay. So if I wanted to have that like that, there, like that. Or I could have this kind of on here somewhere, even just poking out there. That's quite nice. Now this is where I see whether that macaroon's stuck the paper. Thankfully hasn't. Okay, that's good. So we could have that like that. I might tie some string on this sweet treats. We did that earlier on in the journal. Oh, I couldn't tell you what episode, I'm afraid, but on another one of these, and it looked really sweet. So I think we'll do that again. I haven't got any eyelets or anything, I'm afraid, to kind of put around there, but I think it will be okay. So we'll just pop that like that. That's quite nice, isn't it? Or could even have it over this side as we've got the macaroons over here. Could have it like that, as if it's attached to the tea bag. Let's have a look. But then I'm still stuck for something down here, so we'll just kind of have a bit of a play. Won't take too long. Try not to get too bogged down with overthinking it, which is always a struggle, obviously. Now I have brought along one of my little junk journal flowers. These are my paper ones that I make, which I keep thinking I will do a tutorial for that, and I haven't done yet, so I will do one. But I mean, again, there's loads of tutorials for them, so you know, I'm sure mine are not particularly exciting compared to anyone else's. So I could have it like that, something. Now I could have some fabric ruffles somewhere. I could have some ruffle down the side, or I could have some over here somewhere. I've also got this pink lace, which I've been using quite a bit in this journal, which is really nice and kind of just adds a splash of colour to the page. So I could have that kind of here on this booklet, or at the bottom. I quite like it on the booklet, so check I'm putting it on the right way. Again, because I've got the lamp on here, hopefully it's making the vision better for those watching, but it makes it kind of hard to actually see when you're filming, because it just seems to catch things at the wrong light, and then you can't actually kind of see that well, you know, to make out kind of detail, you know, for instance, what side the stitches are. So I quite like that. I'm enjoying at the moment sticking my lace on at a curve. I don't know why, but for some reason that's kind of calling to me lately, kind of doing a curved kind of lacy trim. It's something just a bit fun, I guess, and a bit different, isn't it? So, right, so we can have that like that. Now, do we want this up here? And if we do we want the sweet treats kind of with that? I quite like that. But we are then a bit stuck down here, and I'm not quite happy with this configuration down here at the moment. Unless we put the yellow flip back. Let's just try that once more. Do you know, I'm going to stick those flowers down to stop them keep moving about. And again, for speed, I'm just going to stick them with the hot glue, because that really does save a lot of time. I'll just pop that down like that. There we go. Okay. Now I'm not sticking this down just yet, because I want to pop that just under the corner of it. So just want to kind of make sure we know what we're doing here first. So did we prefer it with that, or did we prefer it with that? Actually, I prefer it with this, I think. And I think that has come up dark enough, funnily enough, with the distress inks. So I quite like that. The only thing is it very centered now? So let's try and balance it out and have some things kind of, you know, off center, so it's not so centered. So could have kind of something there. Take that butterfly away. Could have a butterfly here, that down there. I'll just see if I have another one of those kinds of items, you know, that I could pop down there instead of the sweet treats. I mean, I have got this little doily thing that we'd used previously and kind of cut in half. Could have that somewhere. Maybe we could have it here. or here somewhere. No, that's a bit strange. That's quite nice, isn't it? I mean, just those little things I sometimes think make quite a difference, don't they, to the overall finished look. They kind of just add a little bit of interest and kind of break it up just enough. They're, you know, again, the type of thing that anybody who wasn't a crafter would not even notice. But I just think us crafters, we do notice, and you know, we do kind of yeah, kind of notice these little things, don't we? And these tiny things sometimes do make actually a big difference. So we'll just pop that down like that. Oops, my glue, my crochet trim's not stuck there, so I'm just going to stick it down there. That's good. Right. Just check it's stuck here. I mean, that is the only thing with hot glue, isn't it? It's, you know, it's so fast acting that you don't have a great deal of time to muck about sticking things on. You have to be pretty speedy. So, obviously doing these videos, I'm being a little bit slow. Right. So, let's have a look now how the page is kind of coming together. So what I might do is actually punch a little hole in this with the crocodile, which I've actually got two crocodiles. I've got a pink one and I've got this turquoise one, because, would you believe, my son, he actually broke my pink one, which I'd had for a really long time, and you know, I thought they were beyond, you know, breaking, kind of indestructible, but he did manage to break it. I think it was on the small hole side. He was trying to punch holes in coins, you know, 1 penny pieces, which actually I would have thought it would be able to cope with. And for some reason, it did one, and then on the second one, it just literally snapped off. The whole kind of side snapped off. So I'm on my second one. I have still got my pink one, because weirdly enough, my pink one seems to set the eyelets better than the green one. I think I have said several times before that I don't seem to find it works always for me, setting the eyelets. So yeah, I do keep the pink one because that one works slightly better. Although again, you know, it's not consistent. I wouldn't say it always works for me. So now I've got 2 bits of string obviously on here, which I kind of wanted to have that extra, you know, so I've got lots of string, if you see what I mean, coming off of there. So quite like that. So let's have a look down here. Right, let me move this stuff out of the way. So I'm going to stick, first of all, these flowers. Teeny weeny little edge of flowers. They would have just been cut from the edge of the scrapbook paper. You know, us crafters, we can't waste anything, can we? So even this teeny weeny bit from the edge, still cut it, still using it. But I mean, as you can see, I have still used it, so it was worth cutting, wasn't it? So yeah. Right, there's that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this down, and that actually will cover up some of that grey anyway. So I'm going to stick the actual tag bit down before I stick the, and I'm just going to have to move this over if it will slide. Yeah, because actually I stuck that too far across. Let me check now. I didn't want that too near to the edge of the page. That's better. Right, so I'm going to kind of hold that there so that I know that that's going to be tucked down behind but not covering up the word. So just going to literally stick it down with the wet glue, give it a good covering, and then the tag as well, and I'll just put a bit down the kind of stem bit to the tag, but I'm just going to dab that off because I didn't want it kind of leaking off there. So I'm going to just carefully, oops, stick that down there like that. Stick the little stalk bit with the tab. Stick that like that. And then I could leave the sweet treats kind of loose. That's kind of fun that it's moving. What do you think? I think that's quite sweet moving actually. I was intending on sticking that down, you know, kind of to the side, but actually I quite like that moving. Kind of adds a little bit of fun to the page, doesn't it? So I'm going to leave that moving, I think. Like that. Now what I'm going to do is stick this booklet down. I could have it as a pocket here if I want to. So I'm going to just glue it on 3 sides, and again, just for speed, I'm just going to do it with the hot glue like that. And I go right up to that flower. Try and avoid that word special on the tea bag. So hopefully I've got it kind of just where it should be. So the flower now is just kind of poking out underneath the book. Just blow all those little bits away. So obviously whoever gets this journal can cut these strings off, and they can obviously stick this down if they choose to. I will just have a look kind of, you know, whether I kind of need to stick that down, but I think it's okay. So I'm going to pop that like that. Now on this page, still slightly undecided now here what to do. So let's have a look and kind of see what we can conjure up here. And obviously I did have that French advert actually, which I was going to pop somewhere, so might put that little butterfly there. He looks really sweet, doesn't he? So I'll just literally blob a bit of glue on, stick that there, like that. Okay, like that. Whoops. And do I want anything else on this page? What do we think? Or do we think that it's kind of like really got a lot going on already? I mean, it has got a lot going on. I do think it has. But equally, you know, I think they can always take a bit more, can't they? So that's my telephone. I'm just going to ignore it because invariably they're, you know, just nuisance calls really, just kind of trying to sell you something, or, you know, get you to change your electricity company, things like that. So I shall just ignore it, and hopefully they'll go away. Right, now I just wanted something really to balance this side out, so just gonna kind of have a look and see whether there's anything I could do here to just kind of balance this page out, because I feel it's very centered and I need something kind of more to the sides. I have also got this little heart, which is really sweet, so I ink that up like that. And then what I could do is, and I don't know whether this is going to work, again it's just kind of on the fly, I'm just playing around and trying things, so you know, it may work, it may not work, but I could staple a kind of flower in the middle of it and then have it bent up slightly. We could have it kind of to the side. So if I just ink the flower up, or actually I have got a slightly pinker flower, which is slightly darker pink. And again, these are the kinds of things that, you know, wouldn't matter to anybody but a crafter, aren't they? But we'll just try and see whether this darker pink is kind of better. So, you know, could have that, although actually that flower's a little bit too big. So the other one was better size-wise, wasn't it? So we could just staple that on and kind of pop that somewhere. I don't really want necessarily all of those things down there, as we have this piece Now these are the types of things that sometimes I can literally deliberate for absolutely an age, deciding how to have things. I don't know why, but sometimes this is where I just kind of get completely stuck, and then I'm just sat here endlessly putting things on, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off, you know, and they really probably, it's not that big a deal, and probably nobody else would even care or notice or anything else. But, you know, sometimes you can get really hung up and bogged down, can't you, with playing around and trying to decide and trying to make your final choice. Could have it like that. Maybe that would be best, and just have a look whether I could just put anything down there. That lace is just too pink, isn't it? It just needs, you know, distress ink or something like that kind of on it to bring it, you know, to the right shade, I think. So definitely not that. I did bring actually one of my little button embellishments on the Hessian, which we've used on another page, and I put another one on the pile in the right colours, and now I can't locate it. No, because this pile is kind of ever growing, it's obviously getting messier and messier, so perhaps we could have a bow there to save me looking for that. Could do that. I quite like it like that. So first of all, I'm going to stick this ticket on. I'll use the wet glue because this is only quite thin paper. You know, it should be able to stick reasonably quickly. I'm going to pop that like that, and then what I'm going to do is staple, sorry, the flower in the centre of the heart, like that. And I can have the heart kind of placed there, and then I'll just have this journaling spot there. So I'll stick the heart down just with the hot glue. I hope that I'm in frame. Let me just reach up and just double check. Yes, I think I am. I'm a little bit off to the left, I think, but still in frame. And then I can have this kind of arrangement like that, and then kind of pop the glue down, the bow down for kind of a bit of balance, maybe. Or I did have a bigger bow actually earlier. Let me see whether I've still got that here. Hold on. Just having a look through kind of all these items that are here with me. Actually, I did also bring this little butterfly. I think it was last week. So I could actually even have that there. Could even kind of bunch it here like a kind of cluster. That's quite nice, isn't it? And I wonder if I could have a flower going somewhere. You see, I fussy cut all of those flowers, but actually it's now, you know, my supplies are now dwindling down. So despite having tons and tons of them to begin with, I'm now coming to the end of them, which is a shame to say the least. So I'm just going to cut these round like that. And then what I might do is try and cut a smaller section. So if I just cut that like that, to see where there would be a natural point. So maybe here. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter hugely because by the time it's, you know, inked up and popped on the page, it's not really going to be that noticeable whether it's kind of at a good point or not. It will just look like a flower. But obviously we as crafters know, don't we? So, you know, it matters to us, doesn't it? So I quite like that. I think. Yeah, might put that like that. So I'm going to ink up this flower. Like that. And then what I'll do is kind of stick that like that. So again, I'm just going to use the hot glue just for speeding things up, really. Obviously, normally I would stick this really with my wet glue. But obviously just for kind of speed purposes, I'm just going to use the glue gun. Okay. And then the junk journal flower, I would always use hot glue to stick that on. So, you know, this is kind of normal anyway. So I'm just going to stick that there to the side. So I like that. I think it looks cute. Just pop that there. Okay. And then do we want that or don't we want that? Let's have it. Okay. So that's another 2 pages done. In fact, I just missed this one. So again, I will just literally stick this with the hot glue gun. Would not normally use hot glue, but I'm just, you know, aware of time. So that's another 2 pages done. So I'm feeling pretty happy with this double page spread. I think it looks very pretty. Hopefully you guys like it. And so now, literally all we have left to do now is this back page and the inside cover. And then we've got obviously the ephemera or tags, or, you know, however we're going to actually do it, left to do. Obviously the book's quite chunky now, so we need to take that in mind when kind of building up our ephemera pieces and things and putting them in. But yeah, so yeah, next time we'll work on these pages and then hopefully start to pop in some tags and bits and bobs. So hope that you've had fun and that you like the page spread that we've just done. Yeah, have a great day. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.